Hey guys, Loco here with Invert. Hey Invert, how you doing?
Not too great. We kind of had a rough weekend. A lot of that was because of our own mistakes and our own failings. And yeah, just looking to bounce back. We're in that little clump now. So it's just about giving 120% just to get into playoffs and actually show what we can do once we're there.
Yeah, so I really have to ask because I kind of viewed it as top four is pretty locked. TSM, TL, Cloud9, Flyquest, no particular order, are locked for playoffs, and there's two spots open for the bottom six teams to compete for. But now it's kind of blown wide open, especially for you guys, where you guys were securely fourth and you guys slipped. What exactly happened?
Well, if you look at last week's games against Cloud9 and TSM, they're very winnable. In fact, we had really good leads, and we capitalized on the mistakes that those teams tend to make. But when the game kind of went later and we kind of tried to play to our win conditions, we did so poorly, and that kind of allowed them to come back into the game, get what they needed to win, and then just lose those games. We felt pretty good going into this week on a new patch. The CLG game was an unfortunate draft, in my opinion, where I failed to set up the team for success and failed to cover the blind picks that we had and the pick priority that we had. And then today's game, we came in with a very clear game plan. We mostly predicted what they were going to play in their own win condition, but our mid game once more just kind of fell apart where we failed to play to our win condition with the Rise split push. You guys noticed we had the Rise get like a very clear lead very early on to the game with the dive. And then we covered bot in order to prevent a snowball from bot side after the bad play near Dragon. And after that, we kind of fell apart in terms of giving objectives up on our strong side and not rotating on the right timings. And even when we did have the right timings, we would actually like completely reset and just give up our control. There was one really glaring one. I think it was like 20. It was definitely past 20 minutes where we get full blue jungle control, and then everyone resets, and then they sweep that control, and our Lissandra with TP advantage can't actually create a play with the Jarvan Galio. So very long answer, sorry, but I'm just thinking a lot about those games and a lot about what we did wrong. And I mean, those weaknesses are very clear, and it's something we're going to work on this week to get out of the clump and into playoffs.
So, as you kind of talked about your weakness, a lot of teams actually have a hard time building a lead. Your team does a fantastic job building a lead, especially on the right champions too, in the right ways. And then you guys fail to snowball repeatedly. Like, I guess some would say it's really easy to play the game once you're ahead, but that's where you guys are struggling the most. Why is that?
Part of it's communication. Definitely people are not creating the right windows for themselves and not creating the right situations where they say like, hey, we get priority on this wave or this wave coming out, or hey, I'm rotating on this wave so we can do X, Y, and Z. I would say that's thing number one in terms of why exactly that's the case. And then thing number two is we just don't play the map correctly. Like, we get to objectives incredibly late despite our lead. And then to further that, when we do get to those objectives, we don't have a contingency plan or plan for the fight if it were to happen. So as you've seen in a couple of our games, we play a bit scared. But I think these are very fixable problems. I think what you said is correct, where getting early leads is fantastic, and I think we have really good laners, and Lucas is an amazing jungler to do that. But we just need everyone to be coordinated and on the same page and trying to set up our plan like 90 seconds before so that we actually can get control and capitalize on our leads and play the fights the way we want to play those fights out, because often we play fights with no plan beforehand as well, which is really frustrating to see. And I'm sure it's frustrating for fans as well.
So, thing that's worrying for me as a Flyquest supporter is Flyquest is kind of on a downtrend, while the two main competitors, I would say CLG, Golden Guardians, they showed really good improvements this week. I mean, CLG's game wasn't the greatest, but when they picked Jax versus Riven versus you guys, that was another dimension that they didn't have, where they were just, we're a Sion Tom Kench team, we can't do anything but with a Sion Tom Kench, and they showed, yeah, we can actually play carry. So how do you look at those teams and worry about how much they're improving? Are they someone you have like in your radar?
I mean, for me, we should have every team on our radar. We shouldn't have any sort of ego or any sort of built-up idea that we're better than anyone else right now, given the events of this weekend. So, yeah, of course, they're on my radar. Again, we're in this clump where we have a losing record and we need to fight really hard to make playoffs. And so, no, I have no ego. But I do have conviction that if we do work to our strengths, we'll get back to being that kind of team that everyone saw as a lock for top 4.
So let's talk about this clump. Who do you think looks strongest in this clump, and who do you think won't improve as much? Like, in this clump, is there anything goes? Is it just like anyone can make playoffs, anyone can drop down, or do you think there are clear tiers in that clump of the mid-tier, bottom-tier teams?
Yeah, I still think we have confidence in being a top team in that kind of tier, in that clump. We've shown to play well against teams better than us, and again, fail to close out on some occasions. So I feel really confident. If you're talking about teams that would join us, I think just due to head-to-heads and the like, that CLG has a really good chance. Despite what I think of the strength of other teams, I think CLG just has a good setup by virtue of the head-to-head. And then beyond that, I think Optic can do so as well. And because, I don't know, Crown and Arrow just play super well with one another, and Crown is a really, really strong mid laner that teams can play off of really easily. And yeah, those I guess would be my other two. I know GGS has had an upsurge as well, and they have played pretty well recently, but yeah, I don't know. If you're asking me to choose like specific teams, that's kind of, the schedule helps CLG a lot, and I think Optic with this win look pretty good as well, and I'll always be confident in my team no matter how we're doing. So yeah.
Well, you're so polite and well put together. I don't think I'm going to get any kind of trash talk answers towards which teams are at the bottom.
You can't trash talk after an 0-2, especially one of that caliber. So we just have to focus on ourselves and make fans proud and make ourselves proud in terms of, these are guys, a lot of them have won championships before and they know how to win. And obviously this is not conducive to their standards nor mine. So we're just working really hard for Flyquest fans and for the organization alike, making sure that we can match our potential, make playoffs, and make a good run, and potentially go to MSI.
Well, let's end on that. I hope you guys enjoyed the interview, and don't forget to subscribe. Thank you so much to Low-Key Community for making this interview happen. If you guys want to support them, the link is going to be down in the bio.